Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to our SNAP press conference. This SNAP press conference regarding the SNAP elections in Azerbaijan, and we're happy for you join to our small but important event. First of all, I would like to introduce my colleague and friend and ally, Mr. Arif Mammadov, former ambassador of Azerbaijan in Strasbourg and in Brussels, and since from 2015, Arif Mammadov fight with us for human rights and democracy in Azerbaijan, and right now we just try to explain what's happening in our country and which kind of support and understanding we need from EU and European institutions, where we say we with regarding the Azerbaijani community, which is don't have these voices. I want also to introduce myself. My name is Emir Husseinov. I'm exile-based human rights activist. I'm living in Geneva since from 2015, and I'm continuing work and help to my colleagues and to my people, which is still a very difficult situation in our country. We decided to explain very briefly, each of us for 5-7 minutes, short presentations, and right now I want to give the floor to Mr. Arif Mammadov. He explained your situation with democracy issues in Azerbaijan, and later I will attend a couple of points regarding the fundamental human rights, and later we start interactive section. We have a live stream. We are recorded only us, and that's why just we try to inform you for everything that we're talking here, because it's not only from European community, it's also from Azerbaijani community. We have a live stream which is broadcasted by Brussels Press Club, by our couple of national platforms, and our colleagues from Pakistani media, which is based also here, and we are open from all questions. Thanks again, and Arif, floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much for joining our event. In fact, we are sorry for very short notice. We just know that we just published it yesterday, and thank you for having time to come in very short notice. Briefly, in February we just knew in the morning all the country that President made the decree, announced the decree of holding elections, presidential elections, 6 months ahead of the scheduled time. I'm sure that not only Azerbaijani public in general, our society, but even many ministers, parliament members were caught unaware of this decision. Probably just he woke up in the morning and announced his decree. There was no any previous discussions or information about why or there is need for such an election, so that it was a completely shocking message for the society. Before that, you know that in general situation the country was very sad. There are more than 160 political prisoners in the country, including very well known like Ilham Mammadov. There are other political activists, journalists like Mehman Husseinov, all deputies of the chairman of the Popular Front, Ali Kerimli, are under arrest. You know, it is like 160. It is bigger than in any other country. I know that what was the pressure on Belarus when there were only 5 political prisoners, but we have many times more than in Belarus, and we see quite tolerant approach of the European Union and Europe in general towards what's happening in the country. All major opposition parties boycotted elections. The first was the immediately Milli Shura and Popular Front declared that these elections are illegal and they boycotted. A few days later, Musavat Party and Real Movement have also announced their decision to boycott elections. Even some of them, they said that even if we would like to participate, it wouldn't be possible to do it, because in 2 months to collect 40,000 signatures or to have campaign in such a restricted environment was not possible. So even if someone would like to participate from opposition, it wouldn't be possible. Government almost appointed opponents of Ilham Aliyev. These are fake opposition who would never criticize the government or president. I don't know what they will talk about. Access to the media is completely restricted. There were even opposition newspapers. They were first shut down, and then their internet sites have been blocked within the country. The wave of oppression went from opposition inside the country. Now there is a hunt of people outside of the country who dare to criticize the regime. You know that famous kidnapping of the journalist Afgan Muhtarli from another country, from Georgia. He was kidnapped in the car, and it is registered in the cameras, and Georgian security ministry and Georgian officials recognized that Azerbaijani journalist was kidnapped from the territory of another country. And do you know what he is accused of, Afgan Muhtarli? For illegally crossing the border. So he is kidnapped from Georgia, illegally crossed the border in the Azeri, I don't know, security minister car, whatsoever, and he's charged in illegal crossing of the border. It is itself a very ridiculous accusation. There is another journalist, Fikret Hüseyinov, who has Dutch citizenship, and he's now detained in Ukraine on the request of the Azerbaijani government, and he cannot leave Ukraine for almost the second month, and Azeri government tries to extradite him to the country, and probably thanks to the efforts of the Dutch government, he's still in Ukraine, but he cannot go back to Netherlands because of this completely ridiculous accusation. Prosecutor General Office sent a photo of him with Saakashvili, telling that he was plotting in Ukraine against the Ukrainian government with Saakashvili. So kind of ridiculous, completely ridiculous accusation. As I said, that the civil society is completely destroyed in the country. All the NGOs are just chased away. Those who are inside the country are in prison. Those who are not in prison are refugees in different countries, like Emin himself. He was a director of the important institute. Now, you had like 50 people working. Now he's political dissident living in Switzerland. But before letting him to flee the country, he was deprived of the Azerbaijani nationality. He forced to sign a letter saying that to let him go out of the country. So the situation is completely deplorable. We, of course, we want from the world community, particularly from the European Union, to do more about Azerbaijan, at least to press or to ask the government to do some reforms or to liberate political prisoners. As I say, that there are people who are accused and completely ridiculous. You know, people on just going to the region to see the situation on another city is like you are planning coup d'état. Like Ilham, my mother, was arrested. He was just a few hours in the Ismaili city, which there was some people went out to the streets to protest against social rights, and he was arrested, and he's already 6 years in the prison. And he was director of the School of Political Studies of the Council of Europe. So that I think that the Council of Europe bears some kind of the responsibility for him, because he's not just leader of the Real movement, but he's also director of the political school of the Council of Europe. We have heard lots of scandals around Azerbaijan, money laundering. You don't see any report on money laundering without Azerbaijan being on the first line. So any laundromat or Panama Papers, Azerbaijan is always the first. On corruptions in the European institutions, there is also the first country which comes, it is Azerbaijan. We have seen terror diplomacy scandal, which is still damaging the image of the Council of Europe. There is independent commission set up within the Council of Europe, and I hope that for the next session of the PASER, this report will be ready, and there will be more names which will come on the surface. But unfortunately, small country like Azerbaijan managed to damage the image of one of the oldest European human rights institutions like the Council of Europe. The scandal is continuing. Now, these snap elections, why there were many questions. Why President decided to hold this election? The only explanation is that because of the number of important events in the country, like Formula One, or some conferences, like cultural events, there was taken decision to hold elections 6 months in advance, and not giving even. You can have changed the time of the election, but not announce it just 2 months before that. It was also in itself the way it was done, it was very ugly. Why decision? Because many people question, and the Azerbaijani society discusses why President has taken this decision to hold these snap elections. First reason is deep social economic problem. Economy is in a deplorable situation. National currency fell at least twice. Banking sector is completely in complete problem. Almost half of the banks have been shut down. The prices are going up. Salaries are, pensions. Even pensions, government cannot manage to pay the pensions in time. Nevertheless, the pensions are now the lowest in the region. We were proud some time before that we had the highest living standards in the South Caucasus. Now we have the lowest, the worst situation, social situation among all the countries of the South Caucasus. The first reason, people say that President understands that by by the scheduled elections in October, situation would be much worse than it is now. And because situation goes from bad to worse every day. And social discontent of people is growing also quite significantly. We see in the regions people speak more and more openly about social problems. As I said, the pensions, there are even electricity, gas supplies are a problem even in significant part of the city of Baku. Only in the central areas there is stable supply of gas, but in the regions there is problem. So we are going to be a savior of Europe for gas supplies, but we cannot supply gas to the population even in the capital. And when European politicians say about Azerbaijan being the guarantor of the energy security of Europe, it seems a little bit too exaggerated. We see that the new exploration of the new fields have been stopped. Many oil gas companies left the country, and the output of both gas and oil have reduced considerably. There were other reasons. People say that to calm down the internal circle of president, because after he appointed his wife as the first vice president of the country, there was quite important fighting within the presidential team. They were like fighting with the clans. People call ruling clan like Nakhichevani Armenian clan, and the clan of First Lady known like Pashaev clan, and apparently attempts to raise her importance in the system of the country caused significant resentment from the old guard. So it is named as a second reason that to try to stabilize this unity of the team, which is I doubt that it will be possible to do it, because we see it is completely in chaos. Oligarchs their businesses are taken from them. They have been once very powerful oligarchs like Fazil Mamadov, Minister of Taxes. His business has been taken. Minister of Transport Ziya Mamadov, he is also quite important part of his business has been. Also, we see other oligarchs which are targeted. Their businesses are being taken, but apparently it's not happening so smoothly. And of course, they try to some way to resist it. We have seen at least 4 factories have been burned recently, mostly military factories producing military arms, and we see probably we'll see more things like that in the future, because these oligarchs and once powerful people are trying to show their resentment, and probably this will be we will see the signs of this even more in the future. I can go on and on, but probably I will stop here and leave the place for your questions, because we are here firstly to answer your questions and not just talk. Thank you, and Emin, please.
Thank you. Regarding the snap election, regarding the decision, I would just remind you for 20th of January, just 1 week before Aliyev decided to go to snap elections, head of the Central Election Commissions publicly says to the local and foreign journalists, they said for election must be happening in 17th of October. And what we decide, they decide, sorry, after just 1 week, organize snap elections. First, they make simultaneous step like Maduro, because Maduro at 21st of January decided to organize snap elections in Venezuela, and elections there should be started at 30th of November in Venezuela, 2018. In Azerbaijan, 17 October of 2018. And just a week later, Aliyev, when he returned from Davos Economic Forum, from 25th of January, 2 or 3 days later, early morning, when nobody even weighed this kind of decision, they told for, I'm going to snap elections, without consultancy with any stakeholders. No, we understand we have only one general stakeholder, is President Aliyev, but for us, even for some kind of visibility, they should be organized discussions in the parliament, in constitutional court. They don't do anything. And finally, what we show, I just want to add additional part regarding the political reaction from international community. It's a bit suddenly for us, for 4 days later, European Union, United States, like State Department, and Lima Group member states. There is 12 states, including Canada and 11 Latin American Venezuela neighbor states. They make joint statement for we are not approve snap election result because in country Venezuela not give guarantees for 3 fundamental freedoms: freedom of assembly, associations, and expressions. That is what is, we have the same situation in Azerbaijan. They say for you don't have good competitive environment for oppositioners. You have political prisoners. You have political leadership in prison. That's for this reason. These states, like EU member states, US State Department, Canada, and 11 Latin American members, says well, we are not approve these elections, but zero reactions. And what is also shocking for us, just 5 days later, our minister, Mamediyarov, hosted by Federica Mogherini, here, they make very friendly handshakes, photos, talk very familiar with each other. They say for Federica, she say to him, Elmar, like old friends, which is for me, I'm shocking. I'm sure for Federica Mogherini knows about 161 political prisoners. She knows for what's reality with civil society, when we all civil society environment destroying by Azerbaijani government. And after this, hosted our Minister on Foreign Affairs in this, like next step of this dialogue issues. You know, Azerbaijan prepared sign this strategical agreement in the June or July, when political opposition, when civil society is not involved to this process, even for we don't know what's happened there. It's dark forest for us, these negotiations. Civil society, I'm talking like civil society representative, which is have 99% of his staff in the country, which is have people outside the country. In the Georgia, we have regional office. We are not involved. We have a representative here in Brussels. Nobody even talk with us. That's why we organize this press conference or make attention here in Brussels. We understand now, even all leadership in the European Commission prepared himself for 2019 elections. They started campaign, even they not say for they campaign, but they start to campaign by himself and forget elections issues in Azerbaijan. They not forget election issues in Venezuela, what I'm surprised. They not forget issues with elections in Russia. Aliyev decided to organize elections just between two internationally like important elections. In the elections in Russia, there is now all European community talking about these issues. 18th of March, 22nd April elections in Venezuela, and 11th April election in Azerbaijan. When all international community focuses on to these topics, like sanction darling country, all people forget, even they forget issues with democracy, but not forget talking to Elmar, Mamediyarov, they say for Elmar. I think, I'm like civil society, I'm a bit critical always from state officials. For me it's better if she shows like some kind of distance. You are not equal with us. You should go and learn what is democracy, what is human rights, what is European values. But unfortunately she hosted him like one of the brave European leadership which shares same values with her, which is not true. That is very important. Regarding the situation with civil society, I just want to jump to these issues because this political part Arif already talked enough. Regarding the issues with civil society, now last week participated on OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, and we speak with the leadership of OSCE regarding the observation issues. And I asked OSCE director, I asked OSCE Parliamentary Assembly President, OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Secretary General, I asked Secretary General of OSCE, how you can organize observation missions if me or my colleague in Azerbaijan not able to even participate in observation mission as like local observers. That's very strange. I speak with 2-3 very important election watchdog leaders in Azerbaijan, which is still working in Azerbaijan. I don't want to share his name, but what she say me, they say me, I mean, we have completely different environment compared with even with the parliamentary election in 2015. Government never cared about the issues with local observers. Opposition or civil society always, without any limits, able to make accreditation in Central Election Commissions for his people. Right now, this process is very controlled, even by director of Central Election Commission, Mazahir Panakov. They not approve each person if they not approved by big bosses in top of this Central Election Commissions. And this is looks for when opposition decide whether they go to active boycott, as like in Russia, Alexei Navalny says, we should not completely boycott, but we should mobilize the community to show and to prove less legitimacy from this regime for the future. For local and from international communities, they decide to don't allow to local observers participate in observation process. And my question is now to international community, especially from European, from Brussels community, you should react to these issues because we don't have even any kind of hopes with different institutions. Aliyev don't care about OSCE. They also not very care about Council of Europe, but they care about the European Union because European Union bigger donor, institutional donor, which is have huge resources for invest to his like energy, completely energy-oriented economy, which is his guarantees of his power. And he cared only about this. But when we talk to European Investment Bank for, don't give loan billions to Aliyev regime for build South gas corridor. We understand for here in Brussels it's very cold now. It's cold. It's already all winter very cold, and Gazprom very happy for they start to sell lots of gas to you. We understand for it's some difficult, but you need to understand also us. This one situation with civil society, right now we're strong alone. Nobody care about us. No Americans, no Europeans. We are stays alone. We believe for these values, but that's not enough when we only believe. We say for people also, I'm asked the Ozir, for guys, we want to join you and participate in observation mission. How you can help us? We need a bit institutional support. They say, for guys, you know, we are independent bodies. We are not able to support civil society. And all people in Azerbaijan, from diplomatic community, they also forget talking about role of the civil society on election observation mission. That is very difficult situation when regarding the issues with freedom of expressions. Current situation, much more worse compared with previous election. Our organization have experience for media monitoring since from 2008. We are organized pre-election media observations according to the OEC and European Council of Europe standard, which is very clear, and this is general methodology. But now, even we are not prepared for these elections. We don't have idea how we can manage for this very short time to organize or mobilize like community. We just don't have enough time for speak with potential supporters to ask like institutional support, like provide the trainings to observers or technically organize something. With situation with freedom of expression much worse compared with previous years because Azerbaijani government already started to block internet, which has never happened until 2017 in Azerbaijan. This is something new, and Aliyev, as one of the reasons why he's decided to go to the snap election, he are not sure, because day by day we have new voices in internet, in YouTube. Every day we have some kind of new bloggers, which is prepared like very strong, not very emotional videos, but millions views in YouTube change public opinion. And Aliyev understands now his propaganda, state propaganda is no more opinion maker's machine. So it doesn't work. And they decide to go to election right now for 7 years. And if it's a go, and this silence from European institution continued like this, I told you, I don't have any ideas how we can manage to realize this European virus in our country, because all people day by day decided just to leave the country. They understand for no any hopes, no any benefits or feedbacks from EU. And right now, I think it's more clear. Send the message to our government that enough, you should give even the small flaw, you should even somehow shows where you are ready to give the guidance. And now authorities just try to manipulate with European public opinion there. They say, for guys, we are prepared for big pardoning act, we prepare for big amnesty act. Forget about nothing happened before elections. Just yesterday, one of the MPs just said, we decided to organize this amnesty act after elections because we are very busy, too many applications, people apply us, we try to check all of this appeal. That is issues they understand. For even Azerbaijan government release couple of well-known political prisoners, all Europe forget about huge problem with fourth presidential. This is presidential, like fourth presidential terms for Aliyev. And if you calculate since from 1993, the family, Aliyev's family, stayed on the ruling floor, which is shameful. It's like issues with Assad, it's like issues with North Korea, when the dad delivered his power to his son, and now what Azerbaijan is only single state in the world when husband provided half of the executive power to his own wife, to Mrs. Mehriban Aliyev. And this shows for this is completely nepotism and kleptocracy, already bigger strength in Azerbaijan, and they start to export this practice to the other neighbor countries. We show for how Tajikistan start implement and change constitution. Tajikistan is not member of Council of Europe, but they are member of OEC. And I'm sure until Europe don't show for they strongly support his own values, we can manage to change the situation. And we need more and strong support and understanding from EU. That is our main role. And we try to continue to organize series of events. Just we try to organize one of the events just week before elections and a couple of days after elections, especially here, because right now we understand and believe government don't have any change. It's very dependent by EU. They're very dependent by EU because it's only a single chance for him to cooperate in this energy environment with gas, source gas pipeline issues, with Baku Tbilisi oil pipelines. We start export not only our oil and gas like energy values there, we start export also our authoritarianism values to Europe, as the recent scandal with Azerbaijan and Landromat. Different story shows for Aliyev, compared with civil society, we just have strong power, even here in Brussels, in other European capitals, in Paris, in UK, and they try to successfully manipulate it with European political opinion via his lobbies, which is just make quite productive job for very big money. And we as like civil society, we don't have resources for doing this. We have completely different role, but that's what we show, and it's very difficult for us when we don't see enough support by EU, by Council of Europe. This looks like we are staying alone. Right now, again, I just want to strongly repeat, we meet before organized events here. I have to participate in winter session in Strasbourg. We spend whole week there. I spend whole week in Vienna. We met with permanent missions. We met with all secretariats and MPs from 57 OSCE member states. And all people there speak about problem with Russia and Ukraine. But no one right now talking about Azerbaijan, which is very difficult for us. Without international attentions, it's impossible even realize some hopes which we try to do. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry, very long. Thanks.
Any questions? Yeah, please. Introduce yourself and then...
Yeah, my name is Sabro. As you already know, I'm a student here. And my question is to Mr. Mamadov. As I know, you have been an ambassador in Strasbourg for a long time, and after it was created a criminal case about you, and it was said that there was financial fraud.
Yeah.
Can I know your opinion about it, please?
Thank you very much for your question. You know, anyone in their position have been accused of financial irregularities. It happened immediately after I criticized the government. There was a huge outcry in the media. There were threats to kidnap me from Brussels. Week after that, they sent financial inspection. But there was financial inspection when I was there. When I completed my mission, there was financial inspection, and even they put even so ridiculous things like I didn't pay for the lights. I stayed I lived in the building of the mission. There was one counter, and how could I pay for the light of the mission functional light? So there was that I bought my private car without VAT, but this is a privilege of all diplomats and even technical staff. So that it was completely ridiculous. They even couldn't find anything with all their efforts. And they decided then to forget. They even didn't go further. They just, because this kind of accusations are put against anyone who criticizes the regime. recently, the last one was Mehman Aliyev, director of Turan agency, that he, Emin Hüseyinov, Hatice Ismailova. So anyone who criticizes the government, he's either drug addict, he's a weapon smuggler, or he's he's accused of corruption. And I have 100%, I can go if there is just a quote. All my, those who worked for me in different periods, they were called to Baku. Some of them decided to stay here because they were forced either to sign something against me or to be put in prison. So this is, within the country, it is like a complete terror situation. What is the worst thing? What is the worst thing? That the situation in Azerbaijan today creates excellent, there is excellent ingredients for social explosion. As I said, and if there is no European attention to that, it will finally end up with social explosion, because there are all ingredients, as I said. Low inability of the government to pay even the pensions, salaries, big tension within the ruling elite, and with all the deplorable situation that we just described here, we see today that the opposition in Azerbaijan is not still broken. We see today that main opposition parties decided to boycott jointly the election. Just yesterday, the chairman of the Milli Shura of opposition parties, Cemil Hasanli, made appeal to all opposition parties to organize jointly manifestations. So opposition decided to boycott actively these illegal snap elections. And I criticized several times the government that your behavior, the way that you treat and you manage the country, creates a situation when the only solution for any change in the country is social explosion or social unrest. And unfortunately, if there is no support for the civil society, if there is no European voices just starting to do something about this, putting pressure on Ilham Aliyev, we might have completely deplorable, completely, unexpected or unpredictable developments in the future. Thank you.